So, after a portion from Raw this week, it was on to SmackDown Live to see if they could build any hype for the grandest stage of them all going into WrestleMania in 2 weeks' time. Could they do it? Let's find out. Now, last week we left things with Shane McMahon obviously having been beaten up by AJ Styles in the parking lot and his head thrown through the car window, come hobbling out to say AJ Styles not much WrestleMania. He does now. So obviously we kick things off where we left. Where we kick things off this week where we left last week with AJ Styles coming out to not only accept the challenge at WrestleMania for a match against Shane McMahon, but to say he's not done yet. And he's doing the same this week. He's going to find Shane McMahon and beat the hell out of him, even worse than he did last week. This was an okay start to SmackDown. This is a match that needs a lot of building. They've only got 2 weeks to do it now. And it's a match that did need a lot of build. So I think they started it the right way. They need to start with this feud, and they need to have something in SmackDown Live this week to carry this feud forward and give it a little bit of edge. They did that last week fantastically, but they needed to keep building on it. And they did that this week with the opening segment. Felt relevant, felt needed. Just what I want to see from the opening segment. Didn't set up the show at all. Didn't give us anything going into the show. But yeah, it felt like it was warranted. It felt like it felt right. It felt like it needed to be there. And yeah, it was good. It's an okay start to SmackDown. We then had what many people thought, me included, was the match of the night, the match of the week, in fact, taking Raw into account as well. And that was for the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships, American Alpha versus the Usos. Now, I'm in camp Uso at the moment. I like American Alpha. I've always liked American Alpha. I love what they did in NXT. And I love what they started doing it on SmackDown Live. Had they been given the opportunity to continue building their characters, which they haven't had whatsoever, I feel like it's a little bit unfair, the kind of criticism they get in about being poor and about not being as good, and that Revival were carrying them in NXT. I agree with that to an extent, that Revival were a huge part of their rivalry, but they in no way carried American Alpha. And we saw that at the start of their SmackDown Live career. They just haven't been given enough screen time, I don't think. So going into this match, you know, most people thought that American Alpha were going to retain and that Usos may win at WrestleMania. That's obviously not what happened, to everyone's shock. The match itself was fantastic, very back and forth, like every classic tag team match. Towards the end, it broke down. A lot of kind of fast action with moonsault off the top turnbuckle, the throwing Gable over the barrier with the spear following up from Jordan, super kicks everywhere from the Usos, echoing Young Bucks. And yeah, they picked up a win, Usos new SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions, and I liked it. And I've heard a lot of people saying that they should have won it at WrestleMania. They shouldn't have won them on SmackDown Live. I disagree. I think going into Mania, they haven't got time to fully develop a SmackDown Live tag match going into Mania if they put it on the main card. Therefore, I feel that the place the SmackDown tags we're going to get is on the pre-show. They still might. I still think there'll be a SmackDown Live tag match on the pre-show for the titles or not. And I feel like that would have been a poor show, especially for the Usos. I think they've been great recently. The promo they cut, all the promos they've been cutting, to be fair, have been fantastic. And I feel like it would have been unfair to have them win the titles on the pre-show. So I felt like it was better to have them win it on SmackDown Live, unexpected, get that reaction, get people talking, get people discussing the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships again. And hopefully next week they can build on it. If they set a match for Mania, even if it's on the pre-show, they'll be able to put on a show. Maybe have them got a promo at Mania. I don't know. But I was thrilled with this match. I was thrilled with the outcome. I don't want American Alpha to just fly out of the way. I want them to stay in contention, get the rematch, maybe have a back and forth. I don't know whether they should hot potato the titles any much, but American Alpha should still stay very relevant. Contrary to everyone's criticisms, they just need more screen time. And how everyone's complaining about Raw being too long, it feels like SmackDown's too short because they haven't got time. It doesn't feel like I don't know what they would take out. Obviously, some weeks they have a couple of pointless segments, but right now I don't know what they take out to fit more tag team action in. So it's an interesting how the argument works with Raw being too long and SmackDown being, the right amount of time. But yeah, good first match for SmackDown Live. Fantastic first match for SmackDown Live. Great result, great outcome, great shock. SmackDown Live's looking good. Throughout the night as well, we obviously also got segments of never before seen footage from Total Bellas, obviously a parody from Miz and Maryse. And I love these, I really enjoyed these. But what I don't like is that this whole match rivalry, all the enjoyable stuff and promos and everything is coming from Miz and Maryse. And I feel all like John Cena and Nikki Bella doing is being John Cena and Nikki Bella, which I don't think is enough in this rivalry. I think we need to get heat from both sides, and Nikki and John just getting in the ring, having fun, hugging and stuff, and the Miz and Maryse have been awesome. I love these segments. Miz was fantastic as John Cena. Maryse was scary as Nikki Bella. But a couple of the things they did, how they teased the proposal throughout. Does that signify John Cena will propose at WrestleMania? Very possibly. I don't know. However, it's a very personal thing, so I don't know how Nikki Bella feels about them joking about a proposal. I don't know. I feel like that's very touch and go for WWE. To joke with something personal like that, but I find it hilarious, especially when he said, "I've got a Diamond Dallas Page yoga DVD." That was fantastic. That gave me a big laugh. Miz, right, if you see both those segments, was great as John Cena. He's got it down to a T. If anyone tells you Miz is not going to act in, they are lying. We then got Baron Corbin versus Randy Orton, a match we've never seen before. I was looking forward to it, you know. At first, it didn't feel relevant, and you know, one of my biggest arguments, especially going into Mania, is when matches and segments don't feel relevant and needed. They don't carry any narratives. They don't do anything other than just be there. And that's how this match felt to start. The match was good. Baron Corbin looked like a threat against Randy Orton, one of the best WWE superstars of all time. Yep, Corbin looked like a threat. Corbin looked like he could win the match, and he kind of proved it. He kind of continued to prove that he's going to be a big time player in WWE going forward. And that wasn't even more so relevant than in the finish, which is when it became relevant. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. When Dean Ambrose came out on a forklift truck, obviously echoing from 2 weeks ago, interrupted, distracted Corbin for Randy to get the RK out of nowhere and get the pin. What I liked is that Randy Orton gave a quick thank you to Dean Ambrose before he got the pin. That, I don't know if they're trying to tell us there that Randy Orton was worried about the match. I'm worried that, Jesus Christ, I needed that. Thank you for that distraction. I really needed that. I'm not sure I could beat this guy without that distraction. Which is weird from Randy Orton. I don't know, especially, I don't know the dynamic they were doing with that. Whether that was just Randy Orton, his own just going with that, I don't know. But it was probably just random. You know what? I'm probably looking into it way too much. But the match was good. The finish carried narratives on Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose's side. The match got announced, I believe. Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin. That won't mean after SmackDown, but anyway, it's now official. Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin for the IC title. I do feel like this match needs a stipulation. I'm not sure which, because I've always thought that if matches have gimmick stipulations, they should be warranted. There should be a reason they're having this stipulation. Problem with these guys is, I'm not the biggest Dean Ambrose fan, and I'm not sure I enjoy just a singles match between these two. I think it might be very lackluster at WrestleMania. Whereas if they have a gimmick match, they could pull something out of the bag. Dean Ambrose saying that last year with Brock Lesnar, the reason it was poor is because he wasn't allowed to do some of the things because Brock didn't want to do them. This year, give him some sort of stipulation, and he can prove himself right. So, hopefully, put a stipulation on this match, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll then get a short little segment backstage between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Now, I've been really disappointed with this build-up to this match. A month ago, everyone was saying there's no way Brock and Goldberg should be the main event. Randy and Bray deserve it. I'm not sure anymore. I'm not invested in this match at all, almost. I mean, I love both guys. I love Randy Orton, I love Bray Wyatt, but I'm just not invested in this match for some reason. And this segment was just more meh. More meh. They had such a great opportunity coming from the Royal Rumble to create an interesting dynamic. Obviously, the heel turn from Randy was badly timed, or the face turn, however you want to call it, whichever way you want to look at it, was poorly timed and poorly executed. I think, like I said, the promo was great itself. The whole segment of Burning Down the House was fantastic. Just at the wrong time with the wrong reason, no reason. And yeah, there's nothing much happened since between the two of them, other than just these little mind games. And now there's only one SmackDown to go, and all we've seen is a couple of mind games and a house burnt down, which sounds like a lot. But yeah, I don't feel like I'm interested in this match as much as I should be. And now I'm thinking, should this be the main event? I don't know if Brock versus Goldberg, or Bray versus Randy, either of them should feel like the main event. At the moment, for me, doesn't feel like we've got a main event, which absolutely sucks. If anything, maybe Roman and Undertaker. And that's bad. Oh, that's bad. Next up, the oddest part of the night, John Cena taking on Fandango. Okay. Fandango flanked by Tyler Breeze dressed as Nikki Bella. A lot of people dressed as Nikki Bella in tonight's SmackDown Live. I didn't actually understand why Tyler Breeze was dressed as Nikki Bella, and this got a lot of heat on social media of the fact that they're making fun of Tyler Breeze, they're wasting his talents. I agree to an extent. Tyler Breeze was fantastic in NXT, and since he came to the main roster, he looked like he was getting a promising run to start. Now it's just gone down and down and down until I hit the ground. And in this week's SmackDown, not only was he on the ground, he started digging underneath the ground as well. Not only was he dressed as Nikki Bella, the real Nikki Bella came out, hit a finisher on him, and then tapped him out. Well, John Cena tapped out Fandango, but that was expected. That's not really news. Most interesting part of this match, I guess, was if anyone's been watching Southpaw Regional Wrestling, Lance Cameron and Chet Chetfield, i.e. John Cena and Fandango, going at each other. Yeah, a match 30 years in the making. Yeah, you know what? No, I hated the whole thing. I hated the whole thing. It's not doing anything for me. It's just more John Cena, Nikki Bella bullshit. That's lovey-dovey crap. I didn't like it. This was the worst part of the night. It's a shame that John Cena is now at this level. If he was fighting the battle over, I don't think me and Nikki should work together in the ring. I can see why, John. I can see why. And on top of everything, with Tyler Breeze looking like an absolute idiot and wasting his talents, this segment was just no for me. Worst part of the night. This segment gets a down. Yeah, moving on. Women's action next. Becky Lynch versus Carmella with Natalya on commentary. Obviously, this is leading towards the match at WrestleMania between everyone, apparently. Apart from Nikki Bella and Maryse, obviously. Yeah, it was a bar match. It was short-lived. Natalya interrupted, and then it all broke down. Every diva and coming out to join in for the brawl that lasted all of 30 seconds before Alexa Bliss stood tall. That would tell me that she's not going to be stood tall next week, and then probably retain at WrestleMania, depending on whether Naomi returns. I don't know. If Naomi returns at WrestleMania, she'll win. If not, I think Alexa Bliss will retain. So, this segment was okay. They're not adding anything to this women's dynamic, and I don't think they will next week either. If anything, they'll be just more of the same. So we'll have to wait and see. But could have been better. I think everyone is in the same boat, thinking the women's division on both brands could be a little bit better at the moment. And SmackDown Live, I started tailoring off. I don't think it's any woman's fault in particular individually. I think it's maybe as a whole. I don't know. I just thought this needed more. I really thought this needed more. And this is another match going into Mania that I'm just like kind of excited for, but at the same time not so excited for. Final segment of the night now, and we went back to revisit Shane and Mac and AJ Styles over there. AJ Styles waiting in the car park for Shane McMahon again, like last week, with the intention of beating him down once he got there. But he didn't arrive. Instead, he turned up in the ring. I don't know how he got to the ring without going past AJ Styles. He was in the car park for the whole show. I'm not sure how that happened, but he did. He snuck past and he got in the ring, called out AJ Styles, and I'm in the ring. I'm ready to go. Let's dance. Because Shane McMahon likes dancing. You know, his thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. AJ Styles comes out, starts apologising and saying Shane needs to calm down. I don't know when AJ Styles immediately went from this guy's really soft and I'm going to beat the hell out of him to, oh my god, this guy's the biggest threat in the world and I need to be careful. I need to watch myself. But he did. Steadying down to the ring, telling Shane needs to calm down. As soon as he stepped foot in the ring, Shane goes on the attack with his... You know, I'm going to use the word punches just so you know what I'm talking about. But we all know a Shane O'Mac punch is kind of not a punch. It's more of a... I don't know how to describe it really, but it's not a punch. It's not a punch. But we've got that anyway. Shane McMahon throwing his things. Came onto the outside, had a bit of a brawl. Shane McMahon getting suplexed into the barricade, getting a suplex of his own back, and then dropping the elbow on AJ Styles through the announce table. You know what? I'm not a huge fan of this rivalry. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that this match is happening at WrestleMania. I think I'll enjoy it. But regardless of anything that I think, I love nothing more than seeing Shane McMahon jump from the turnbuckle and dropping an elbow through the announce table on anybody. I don't care who it is. I love Shane McMahon dropping the elbow through the announce table. He does it so blissfully and so cleanly. His motion is just so flawless. I feel like I'm sounding a bit of an idiot here, but I just like watching Shane McMahon fly through the air and dropping an elbow. I think he's one of the best in the game at dropping an elbow from the top turnbuckle through the announce table. Him and probably HBK are probably two of the best at doing it. So I'll see that all the time. I hope we see that again at WrestleMania. It won't be repetitive for me. I would complain about it. I would complain about repetitiveness like that anywhere else. Not here. Hopefully he drops an elbow on every single announce table at WrestleMania, but we'll have to wait and see. The segment itself did what it needed to do. It built the intensity between these two guys. They were clearly trying to convince us that Shane McMahon is an actual credible threat to AJ Styles. That Shane McMahon is a credible threat to AJ Styles. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous. Again, like the Corbin, I don't want to do this for every match because I complain about that as well. But this needs a stipulation as well, because if it's a one-on-one singles match, there's no way Shane McMahon would ever beat AJ Styles. Ever. So the fact they're trying to build him as a credible threat, the only way I will see Shane McMahon win is if there's a stipulation that involves some form of no disqualification. So there can be interference, or Shane McMahon can do some crazy spots and moves. If it's a singles match, there's no crazy spots from Shane McMahon other than a coast to coast. But even that's not interesting without the dustbin or something like that there, or a steel chair. So again, this is a case of having to wait and see what they do next week on SmackDown, see if they build this anymore. But again, like Raw, they've got a lot of building to do all around. Like I said, I'm not invested in the Randy Orton Bray feud. I'm slightly invested in the Shane O'Mac and AJ Styles. I think these two could put on a great match at WrestleMania, but we'll have to wait and see. Women's division needs a little bit more oomph in the final week. I feel like the match has only been just announced between Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler, again, Dean Ambrose, so that needs a little bit more. All around, I feel like everything needs a bit more. I'm not sure they have time to do it, both Raw and SmackDown Live. So let's wait until next week. Not feeling too positive. And yeah, that was the final thing. And that's how the show closed out with Shane dropping the elbow on AJ Styles and getting the upper hand 2 weeks before WrestleMania. Like I said before, show as a whole, much better than Raw. We had the match of the week from the Usos versus American Alpha. Lots of relevant segments between AJ Styles and Shane McMahon, Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin. Continued the mixed tag match narrative, I guess. But yeah, overall it was much better than Raw. A couple of segments brought it down a little bit, mainly the John Cena and Nikki Bella segment, and probably the women's segment as well. Overall, I'm going to stop giving ratings out of 10. I'm going to start giving letter grades. I feel like they're easier to grade. Letter grades. Probably going to get a B-, I think. B or B-. B-, the John Cena and Nikki Bella segment, and the fact that Tyler Breeze was dressed as Nikki Bella and tapped out to Nikki Bella brings it down at least 2 grades, or 2 sub-grades. So yeah, B- for SmackDown this week. Much better than what Raw was last night. But yeah, let's see what we'll do next week. See if they can build any more hype for WrestleMania, because by God, they need to. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave your thoughts in the comment section if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. Other than that, check back next week for more Run the Ropes. We've got Raw, we've got SmackDown Live, we've got some WrestleMania prediction videos. Got a bit of a special idea planned for WrestleMania with my friend Martin, but we'll have to see if that comes to fruition. And then WrestleMania itself, a review for that as well. You guys can follow me on Twitter at run_the_ropes. Other than that, see you guys later.